Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about why I bought the M1 MacBook Air in 2022 instead of waiting for the redesigned M2 model, which is probably going to come out sometime this year. And if you guys found this video helpful or you guys enjoyed it, definitely be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button so you guys see more videos like this one. So now to get into the question of why I actually bought the M1 Air in 2022, the main reason for that would be to speed up my workflow process, because right now I do have a custom built PC that I've had for the past 4 to 5 years now, and I've been doing all my video editing on it and it hasn't been keeping up with all the things I need, like 4K video editing. And when I first built the PC around 4 to 5 years ago, it cost around $700 and it has a decent CPU, which I believe is the i5-8400. And I'm not sure about the GPU, but it's nothing too crazy. But it should be able to handle some decent video editing. But for me and my workflow, the 4K video coming out of the Sony a6400, it wasn't able to handle that. And I had to actually use proxies in order to get my workflow done. And honestly, before with all these proxies, it honestly just take forever for my computer to get through all them and load them into Premiere, but now having to go from something like that over to the M1 MacBook Air, it's a complete night and day in that situation, just because with the M1 Air, I just have to put my video clips, all the 4K clips from my Sony a6400 directly onto the machine, and the video would kind of just like flow, and there would be no lag when I was actually editing the videos. Unlike before when I would actually have to, create the proxies, and if I didn't, it'd honestly just be uneditable and it would be super slow and super laggy. And when I finally noticed this, by the end of last year, I kind of noticed that I wasn't making as many videos, and I was kind of thinking of the reason why. And I mean, of course, one was, video ideas and all that stuff, but a second thing that was pretty big was just the workflow process. And that's kind of when I thought about it, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't wait, another year or half a year just to get a better computer like the M2. I know this is still a rumor right now, but if it does come out, I would have been waiting for that, and that was the reason why I kind of gave up on the idea and just bought what I had, or what was available right now, which was the M1 MacBook Air. And honestly, everything about this machine has impressed me so far, including the operating system, which is a completely new experience, but it's been really great so far. The keyboard's been great, the battery life is like insane for what it is, I think it gets me about 18 hours of battery life, and I could actually tell that I don't have to charge it every other day. I kind of charge it almost once every 3 days at this point, and it's been great so far. And there's a whole bunch of other great things about the machine, but the one thing that I would say that isn't really too good right now would be the webcam. The webcam's still at 720p, which is the same as it was like 10 years ago, so that definitely needs a major upgrade, which is rumored in the new model, which would be the M2 coming out maybe later this year. The only reason that I would say for you to pick up the M1 MacBook Air right now in 2022 would be that if you absolutely need a computer right now at this moment. If the main cause of your problems right now of not creating enough videos or not getting enough work done is your workflow, and that workflow is because your machine isn't as powerful enough as you want it to be, then I would say definitely go ahead and make the jump to the M1 MacBook Air. Having a pretty clunky workflow is honestly pretty unmotivating, and is a pretty good reason of why you probably wouldn't want to do as much work as you would have done if you had a better machine, and that's the reason why I would say to go ahead and make that jump to the M1 MacBook Air. And I know that $1,000 isn't really cheap by any means, but when you're actually looking at the value of the laptop compared to the price, you're actually getting a lot of the laptop for a pretty good price there, just because for the performance that you get, the battery life, the actual build quality, the computer's going to last you for years to come. And if you really break that $1,000 up into, however many years you're going to use it, it's really not that bad of a deal, and it's honestly an overall great laptop. And another great thing about Macs, honestly, would just be the resale value. If you, go 3 years into the future right now with the M1 MacBook Air, it's probably still going to hold a lot of its value, just because, Macs are known to last for a pretty long time, and they always have a pretty good resale value. So in case you are looking out for the newer M2 model, M2 redesign of the M1 Air, I would say that, honestly, you could still buy the M1 Air right now and then resell it later this year. And say you bought the machine, the base model, for $1,000, and you sell it for $700, you'll still recover, 70% of the machine, and you only lose $300 there, and you could go ahead and pick up that newer model, and it's honestly still a pretty good deal that way. And speaking of the newer redesigned M2 model, I have to say that looking at the rumors for the past few months now on YouTube, I have to say that it looks like a pretty promising jump from the M1 MacBook Air over to the new M2 MacBook Air. And a few of the new features of the rumored M2 model would include a better silicon chip, which would probably be called the M2. It would include a better 1080p webcam, a good upgrade from the 720p one that we have right now. It also comes in a 13 and a 15-inch variation, and I'm actually looking pretty forward to that 15-inch model. I think it's a great size, and it would also have a pretty cool, sleek and boxy redesign with those white bezels, which is a pretty good look to some people, but maybe not to everyone. And for me personally, I don't have to say that the biggest jump from, the M1 model over to this M2 redesign would actually have to be the redesign itself, just because the chassis of the MacBook Air has been pretty much the same now for around 10 plus years. So it's pretty cool to see something, kind of get redesigned from a model that's been around for a pretty long time. And it's pretty cool to see how they're kind of matching it up with the current M1 iMacs, which is pretty cool, and they're also planning some cool colorways that kind of go hand in hand with those, and it's overall going to be pretty exciting to see this new jump. So now getting into some closing thoughts, the first thing that I want to start off by saying is to not overthink your decision too much when you're thinking about getting the M1 MacBook Air right now, or kind of waiting out for the new redesign model. The simple answer to your question is honestly just to think about if you really need a laptop right now, just go ahead and buy it. It's not too expensive at $1,000 for what it is. And if you don't need a computer right now, and take some money that you were going to put towards a newer computer right now and maybe just save it up, maybe invest it, do something with it, and wait a couple months or maybe till the end of the year until you see that new redesigned model, if it does come out by then, which I hopefully think it should. But just put your money away right now and buy that when it comes out if you don't need a computer right now. Also, even if you guys do decide to give up on waiting for that M2 model and just pick up the M1 Air right now, I can assure you guys that you'll be pretty happy or really happy with the M1 MacBook Air that you pick up right now, since it's pretty much known that, between all YouTubers or a lot of YouTubers and, even the Apple community and people who aren't even, super into the Apple ecosystem, everybody kind of has agreed that the M1 MacBook Air and the M1 Mac Mini are, at the top of the charts when it comes to value for at least Apple computers, and it's honestly super true. It's, delivering really great performance, and just a really great machine for what it is at that price of, $999 for the base model. And anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this one or found it helpful, definitely go down below and hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.